Welcome to Hustle, Style and Stories with Shanu Suresh, where we delve deep into the lives of interesting individuals and key personalities across business, sports, and entertainment. Today, we have the honor of speaking with Elle Norman, who is the Chief Marketing Officer of Formula E, a premium sustainable motorsport, practically, probably the future. Ellie joined Formula E in October 2024, and prior to that, she brings a wealth of experience from being the CMO or the Chief Marketing Officer of Formula One. She has been pivotal in increasing Formula One's global presence, and of course, her key areas are about fan engagement. If you're interested in motorsports, if you're interested in sports marketing, if you're interested in anything to do with marketing in general and how to engage the audience, this episode is for you. Keep watching. Let's dive right in. Ellie, you have no idea how truly happy I am here to have you here with me. And thank you for being on Hustle, Style and Stories. Welcome.
Thank you. It's an absolute pleasure to join you. So certainly something I've been looking forward to.
So, Ellie, your portfolio, your profile, your resume is beyond amazing. You were the Chief Marketing Officer for Formula One to becoming the Chief Marketing Officer of Formula E, which just peaks future. First, let's start off by explaining the very basics. What exactly is Formula E? What are the speeds that you can go at? How different? Of course, it's different. Of course, it's very less developed compared to Formula One. But tell us, let's start from there.
So Formula E is incredible. We are a young sport, so we're 11 years old, and we have some sort of fundamental commonalities. So what you'll find is we have 11 teams. We have 22 drivers on the grid. We have the fastest accelerating open wheel car. It accelerates 30% quicker than a Formula One car. So we'll go from 0 to 100 kilometers an hour or 60 miles an hour in 1.82 seconds. And we essentially sort of move around the world, currently 16 races. And we race in sort of urban environments. And I would describe us as being an incredible platform for really sort of pushing boundaries and continuing to innovate in how do we push forward human progress and e-mobility for the future.
Wow, beautifully said. That's what I was observing first. So Ellie, let me come back to you. Tell me, how did this journey begin for you? How did marketing happen to you? How did digital strategy or how did strategy in itself occur to you? And how was the transition like from Formula One to Formula E? Let's start off with the first part first. Tell me your journey.
So I've had an incredibly fortunate journey. And I think what has really set me in good stead is I would describe myself as having a very sort of open growth mindset. So I love to experience new things, very comfortable with change, but really love being involved and making change happen. So for me, that began after leaving school at 18 and working within the advertising industry for the first 5 years. From the advertising industry, one of my clients was Honda in the automotive space. So from there, I moved client side, had an incredible 7 years.
It's always better to move from agency to client side.
It is.
It's a great promotion, yeah.
It is. And I had an incredible 7 years working for Honda Motor Europe. And that was on a pan-regional basis. So for me, this was truly understanding different cultures, where are the similarities, the sort of universal human truths, and understanding sort of fundamentally how do cars work. And although I'm not an engineer, I really love to know how things work. From there, I pivoted, and it was quite a sort of transition. I moved from automotive into media and entertainment.
Okay.
And I joined Virgin Media. And again, fully embrace the new industry, an opportunity to learn something new, to go much deeper, single market, really understand the levers of commerciality and the sort of media landscape and that fragmentation. And then I was very fortunate to get a telephone call to combine my experience and expertise with automotive and media and entertainment to bring those things together. And in 2017, I joined Formula One.
Mm-hmm.
5 phenomenal years, really at that sort of pivotal time of setting up a marketing, content, communications function, transforming the sort of brand perception, revitalizing the sport. I left Formula One in 2022 and thought, I'm going to go and try working in arguably the biggest sport in the world, football.
Okay.
For one of the biggest football clubs in the world. So I joined Manchester United.
Oh my God. I'm going to come to that later. Man U fans will arise. Yeah.
And 2 incredible years, learned a whole heap in terms of managing reputation for a brand so big. And that sort of resilience during a time of a real change for the club. I left Manchester United and joined Formula E in October 2024. And it's super exciting, fantastically kind of challenging as we're sort of carving a path for this sport to sort of grow.
My goodness, that is such a colorful journey. And I'm sure you're so used to handling these large scale products, especially in sport and motorsport. So I want to first start off by asking you about your experience at Formula One, because being in Formula One itself for a woman in motorsport is a big thing. And holding such a high position there is a dream come true for not just women, for everyone. Tell me your experience at Formula One.
I had a terrific experience. So I was in a position that when I joined Formula One, I joined at a time when Liberty Media had bought the sport. So I was sort of recruited into the role by Sean Bratches and Chase Carey from Liberty Media. And I think sort of being sort of new to the sport and part of the new sort of ownership, for me, it was kind of really just embracing what we were there to do. I never thought about my gender actually in terms of the being in the sport. My sort of outlook all of the time is how are we going to achieve the growth that we desire, have the sort of right impact, and importantly for me, sort of really better understand who the fan is and where the new fans will come from, and how as a sport do we make ourselves relevant to that sort of audience. And in every role I go into, my sort of modus operandi will always be to establish who is the fan, where will the growth come from, and sort of once that diagnosis is done, then actually what's the right strategy, and then what are the tactics that we need to deliver with impact to then sort of really drive the change that we all want to see.
I would like to add something there. Ellie has been pivotal in driving the fan engagement at Formula One during your tenure there.
Yes,
I've read intensely about it. And all right, so you changed the landscape of the fan management. And would you like to go into some strategies there that worked for you?
So I think one of the sort of first observations is, typically in all sports, you have all of the right ingredients there. So for me, the beauty of sports is it's competitive. It's typically there's tension, there's an intensity to it. You have heroes, you have kind of anti-heroes. And sometimes those things are perhaps just a little bit too well hidden. And so very much sort of that first place that I will want to start is by genuinely understanding people and what makes people tick. And I'm a big believer that everything is based on relationships and people by people. And actually, therefore, creating an environment for the stars of the sport to be themselves, to feel comfortable to share a little bit more of their personalities and who they are as people. Because, in all sports at the highest level, whether it's the sort of pinnacle of Formula One, the pinnacle of the kind of Premier League, and now for us, the pinnacle of electric racing, first and foremost, these are phenomenal athletes, really sort of operating at the very top of their game. And they will typically eat, sleep, and drink to remain at the sort of pinnacle there. Now, you see that play out on the racetrack. So when we get to our next E-Prix in Miami, you'll see those 22 drivers, the 11 teams, and they will be fiercely competitive on track. But what people love to understand a little bit more is, well, what's the story behind them? What do they do outside of kind of preparing and training for the racing? Do they play an instrument? Do they love a certain type of music? And this is where people form their sort of connections. Are they inspired by fashion, by sort of other athletes? And I think it's really sort of getting under the skin of that and telling those stories so that actually those bonds can be formed and people
basically
can really
humanizing
resonate.
them and
Exactly.
looking at their life,
Yeah.
beyond the tracks.
Yeah.
But-
And you can do that in a number of ways. You can do that in long form documentaries. You can do that wonderfully now, I think, in
social media.
social
It's so
the growth of
easy
TikTok.
now.
So it's really sort of creating an environment where collectively you do this, both from the sports league, the individual teams, and clearly the individual athletes themselves.
Since we're on the topic, I would love to know your take on Lewis Hamilton's announcement post for Ferrari. Do you think there was really a deep thought behind that announcement post of the 8th championship title being his after 7 windows being opened, or was it just coincidence?
So I would be speculating, but I certainly absolutely loved the announcement post. Lewis is an incredible human, like a really thoughtful, very considerate, beautiful human being. And he looked fantastic. To see Lewis and how he was dressed, the F40 in front of the house.
I know.
Minimal
Such an iconic
branding.
picture.
It was iconic. So the fact that it got so many people talking about it and the hidden meanings, wildly successful.
Okay, whether it was thought out or not. All right, so coming back to Formula E, it's not. Do you think it is easy to market a brand because like Formula E, because people are still chewing on to or beginning to chew on to the idea of electric vehicles, and now we're talking about motorsport in electric vehicles. So do you really think it's challenging in that area to push it, or it's getting there, or people are warming up to the idea of this is the future?
So I think long term the trajectory is very, very clear, and we see that many governments are sort of talking about sort of bans being imposed on the sales of new sort of combustion engine vehicles, whether that's kind of petrol, diesel, etc. And there is a clear sort of path in terms of decarbonisation, electrification. So I think that's super, super clear. In terms of motorsport, I think there has been a traditional sort of motorsport, which has clearly been developed around a sort of combustion engine. Now, what we're seeing is as the technology continues to evolve, and as I said, we're 11 years old, but to see the evolution and the innovation from the first generation car of Formula E back in sort of 2014 to where we are now with a car that accelerates 30% faster than a Formula One car and sort of really getting up to speeds of 200 miles an hour. I think we're starting to see this shift with fans discovering our world, understanding that the racing is very exciting, incredibly unpredictable. So the number of different winners that you will see on the podium, 9 different world champions in the last 10 years of the series. These are kind of key ingredients. And I think if you're a motorsport fan, you want the competition, you love the unpredictability, and you really love to see this wheel-to-wheel racing. So I think we have those ingredients coupled with the speed coupled with a product that is continuing to get better and better. And I'm super excited for when we have our next generation race car, the Gen 4. It looks stunning.
Okay.
The speed is even greater. And I'm expecting big things for what we'll achieve when we move to that.
What do you think is the timeline, according to you, for people to actually, is it mainstream? Is Formula E mainstream in the way we expect it to be right now? Or if so, what is the timeline that you expect it to be? 2 years, 5 years?
So I would say we're mainstream. So we have 374 million fans globally. Our sort of TV viewership is sort of circa 490 million. And from a media distribution, my colleague Artie, her and her team have really ensured that we have incredible distribution. So we very much look to ensure that we have free to air from a media point of view. We clearly have some sort of paid. And importantly, actually, we put all of our free practice onto YouTube. So a big part of us as a series is making sure that we are easy to find.
Yes.
Whilst we continue to build fame for the series. And so all of these strategies kind of work together. So absolutely mainstream. Do we have further to go? 100%.
Yes.
So it is about continuing to build the fame of Formula E as a championship and to ensure that we are easy to find and we're hard to leave. So actually, again,
once you go, you're never going back.
Exactly. That we engage people. They want to spend more time with us to really sort of build their knowledge and their understanding about what makes this sport so cool.
Since you have a very strong background in marketing, and of course, sports marketing is a huge part, do you see a general trend for the next 5 years in terms of sport marketing? It could be across sports or particular to Formula E.
Yeah. More broadly, when I think about general sort of trends in marketing, I think we will start to see a swing into what I would describe as generalists. So I think if you go back maybe 5 years, there was a real focus on specialists within sort of marketing, particularly as sort of digital marketing came into the mix. You wanted specialists in SEO, you wanted kind of specialists in sort of programmatic. I think with the more that technology is coming into the marketing space, actually generative AI, actually having more tools at our disposal.
Yeah.
I think we will start to have technology tools that can do quite a bit of the specialist role. And therefore, from a human point of view, you do want to see more generalists, T-shaped individuals who have a breadth of skill and understanding in terms of how do you pull together the different disciplines within marketing, whilst having a view in terms of where are we going, how are we going to get there, and what does success look like, and being able to kind of blend that together. So I think that's a shift that we will see more, which is coming back into this sort of generalist marketer who has that sort of understanding of the theory of how do you drive growth, and then what tools and specialists do you put together in order to do that in what is actually a more fragmented media landscape and a more fragmented marketplace.
I see your point. In fact, that's also pretty much the future and scope of employment per se, right? Find a space, because that was going to lead me to my next question. But before that, you're trying to say find a space to do something as a human that AI can't really do right now, because AI can also do a lot of specialist jobs, right? So humans would have to do a broader spectrum of skills.
And I think I'm so hopeful actually about sort of AI. Okay. And just starting to play with it myself, not from an engineering perspective, but just really understanding. I genuinely believe that AI plus humans is additive. And so what we're starting to see, I think, from sort of AI is it can do an awful lot that historically may have been very manual and taken lots of human hours. Yeah. So as humans, what we have is creativity, a brilliant understanding of context, as much of what is said as what is not said. So I think really utilizing those human elements coupled with the sort of tools just is additive and can make it much more sort of powerful in what we're able to achieve when you bring human and technology together.
Okay, now let's move to Ellie as a leader. What sort of a leader are you?
So that would be a question best asked to my team. However,
honestly, I have a personal experience to share of Ellie's because we've been liaising via emails, to organize the interview and all of that. And I really liked how hands-on she was with every response. And, I have had a lot of other experiences. Let's not get to that. But I liked the fact that you were on point and you were prompt. I love that. So that does speak a bit about you. And I'm sure that's also what your larger team would have to say.
I hope so. I mean, when I think about, first of all, thank you. When I think about leadership, I would want to be thought of as a leader who is inspiring, having a sort of vision for achieving big things together, but actually having, I would say, the humility and the authenticity to know that I don't have all the answers myself. And so actually my job as a leader is to ensure that I have a team full of A-star players and that actually I create the environment for everyone to be able to contribute, to lift us up and to take us further together. So that's what I hope I bring as a leader, is being able to inspire a clear vision for what we can achieve, but really to create that sort of environment of putting experts together and allowing us to debate, challenge, be creative, and test things. We should be experimenting, not waiting until something is perfect, but being in this sort of constant beta mode of trying things out. What do we learn? What would we do differently?
I like that. Beta mode is best.
Yeah.
Yeah, because nothing is perfect, right?
No.
You can't wait for a perfect product to
No.
release. Since the second part of our show is about style, what is Ellie's style like? Are you someone who because I read a lot about CEOs and founders who do not like to waste time when they want to select what to wear in the morning. Are you that person who thinks that's the last part of my day, or that's the least of my thought, or it doesn't require a lot of brain processing power, or I'm going to put in a thought and dress for the boardroom? Or are you that, like, what is that? What is fashion for you?
So I would say in the mornings, I'm very efficient with my time, but I'm certainly not in the space of having the same outfit every day. I love mornings. I would describe myself as being high energy. I love the thought of being impactful, and that's from a business point of view. And therefore, actually, with that sort of impact, I'm always thinking about as a team and as a function, what are we going to do that is essentially distinctive, memorable, bold? And maybe that's how I kind of show up in myself as well,
Right.
of really challenging the status quo and perhaps kind of past traditions that have kind of gone before. To be respectful of that, but say, well, how do we continue to evolve for what the landscape is today and what the future is going to hold? So I like colour. So you'll normally find me colour, jeans and trainers.
Oh, perfect. It's comfortable on the go. Formula E is a very stylish sport in itself. Does that somewhere influence what you wear?
Formula E is such a brilliant sort of culture and environment. I would say it's high-paced, it's youthful, there isn't a stuffiness to it, sort of very progressive and open-minded. And with that comes an environment and a culture which is welcoming of all and sort of very inclusive. And so I really take so much joy from seeing people come into the office as themselves. And so people don't have a sort of work version and the home version. We just want people to be themselves. And I really love and embrace that.
Oh my goodness. Okay, people, if you're looking for a job in a fantastic place to work with a great boss in a marketing field, whom to get in touch with.
It's really cool.
So while we're on the topic, if people want a career in motorsport, it's not about gender, but in general, what can they do? Is it easy to get a career or have a career in motorsport? What do they need to study for that?
So obviously it depends what you want to go into. I would say if you want to be on the sort of engineering side of that, I would expect that you need to study something. Likewise, what I think sports offers is you can do a role in every discipline within sport. Certainly from a marketing point of view, a couple of sort of courses that I have really sort of valued and done myself is the Marketing Society Marketing Leadership Program. Taken huge value from that.
Okay.
Mark Ritson.
Is that an online course?
It's an in-person course.
In-person where? In
the UK.
Okay.
But a fantastic online course is actually Mark Ritson's mini MBAs. So sort of 12-week courses. You start in marketing and then you do brand management. Really phenomenal, online, 12 weeks. And it is essentially an MBA condensed, but it teaches you from the foundations of marketing and really actually how does marketing drive growth within organizations. So I couldn't recommend that more highly enough. And the last one that's had a real impact for me was being selected to take part in the Marketing Academy Fellowship in 2020. Okay. And so they would be sort of three things, certainly from a marketing point of view, that I've really benefited and taken value from as I've sort of developed my career over the last 25 years.
My goodness. So, okay. So there we've given them a lead. And quickly, the last question on the fashion segment. Tell us your favorite brands. Or do you have a favorite? Are you just someone who picks up stuff that looks good, feels good? What are you?
Does it look good? Does it feel good?
Am I comfortable?
Yeah, is that sort of really sort of coming out to me? So I've got a real soft spot, much to my husband's annoyance, for shoes.
Oh, okay.
So that would be, I'll always be able to buy a pair of shoes wherever we are in the world. And he always says to me, do you need another pair? But
it's not about need. We're not discussing needs here.
There are 365 days in the year.
Yes, right. One for each day.
Exactly. So, I quite often will go on instincts and how I feel about something.
So now we will slowly go towards the rapid fire section. Are you excited? Okay, so if you ever feel that you want to elaborate on a particular question, please feel free.
Okay.
All right, so let's do this. A book that changed your perspective.
Ooh. So I'm not going to say a book, but I am going to go back to Marketing Society Marketing Leadership Program.
Okay.
And the Marketing Academy Fellowship.
All right. Your favorite Formula E race location?
Oh, that's like asking, do you have a favorite child?
Oh my goodness. Did I hit the hot spot?
So I would say all locations bring something very different. And I think what makes each location magical is getting under the spotlight of the culture of where we race, seeing the passion of the local fan, and generally when we race, the sun is shining. So that's always a good thing.
Okay. Most exciting part of marketing a motorsport all electric?
It's a feature.
I love that. I love how that sounds. Okay. What's a common misconception people have about sports marketing?
It's certainly something I get contacted a lot about. How do I get into sports marketing? And for me, it starts with the fundamentals of marketing, full stop. I think a misconception is it's really, really glamorous. And it's a huge privilege. But but it's also understanding the principles, applying the principles, and sometimes the sort of nuance of sport marketing when your profile will typically be much more around earned media sort of opportunities, owned and operated versus kind of paid. And sometimes I think there's a little bit of a misconception there in terms of what is successful sports marketing. So I think that needs understanding. But it's like the principles of marketing apply everywhere. It's just the context changes.
Okay. What's one piece of advice you wish someone had given you earlier in your career?
That's a brilliant question. Say yes more often than you say no.
Oh, interesting. Would you like to elaborate? Because I'm curious.
So certainly for me, when you say yes more often, new opportunities present themselves.
Right.
New experiences present themselves. New learning. And that for me is so important because the landscape is going to continue to evolve so quickly. And I think for us to remain relevant, we have to keep putting ourselves into new experiences and new learning opportunities.
I'm going to take that as a personal takeaway for me from this interview. 3 words that best describe you.
Oh, so if I was thinking about my eulogy, which we hope is not too soon.
Oh God.
But I would love for people to describe me as being kind, being generous with my time, and being very loyal.
You know, you were amazing, honestly. And we are about to wrap up, but I would love to know, is there a piece of advice or is there something that you would like to share with our audience about your experience, about Formula E in general, anything that you would like to add on?
Tune in, because if you're not tuned in already, you're definitely missing out.
Yeah.
And I think if I was to sort of wrap everything up, is going back to getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. So really think about being in beta mode, saying yes more often, and trying new things. You don't know where it's going to take you.
I loved how she beautifully summarized the interview as well. Ellie, you have been an absolute delight. Thank you so much. And I'm honored to have met you. Thank you very much. And I wish you all the very best. I hope to be in a venue watching Formula E race in person very, very soon and probably cross paths again with you.
I look forward to that. Shanu, thank you so much for your time. It's been a real pleasure. Keep watching Hustle, Style and Stories with Shanu Suresh.